Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between Grand Cathay and the Ogre Kingdoms. It's going to be myself with Yuan facing off against Professor Pone, who's going to be coming in with these sweaty ogres, the Slaughtermaster, and the recently changed Trappers, who have been nerfed in this patch. They've gotten a 50 gold cost increase and lost their bonus versus infantry, which I think is an excellent change and certainly a step in the right direction. But we're here to talk about Grand Cathay and some of their new goodies. So this is the ZHANGU War Drum, and this thing is pretty interesting. It does give harmony, so both harmony. So if you have archers, it'll give them harmony. If you have melee units, it's going to give them harmony as well. So if you want to go with like a Cathay melee build and not bring the archers, let's say you're playing a faction you're a little bit worried about facing a lot of dive, a lot of flying pieces, harpies, warhounds, and you're having trouble protecting your back line. Well, you can go with a melee Cathay build, bring the War Drum, and it's going to be giving either the Yang Harmony or the Yin Harmony, which is a really, really cool combo. I think this is going to be pretty interesting. I know in land battle it'll be very good because Cathay can kind of have these boxes and really benefit from it. In Dom, I still think it'll be good for fighting on points for sure. So yeah, it's a neat trick. It also has a leadership buff and two different modes you can choose from. So it has Disdain of the Dragon Emperor, which gives ITP to nearby units and melee attack for like really buffing up a blob fight. And it also has the Bastion of the Great Cities, which gives 24 armor to nearby units. So in this case, we're going to be switching between the two depending on what we're dealing with. And honestly, against ogres, both of them will be good, especially the armor one, considering ogre bulls don't have a ton of AP. Now, Yuan, the Jade Dragon, this guy is for sure my favorite lord in Cathay now. He has an execution ability, which is very strong. It doesn't necessarily auto-kill your target, but it does a massive amount of damage. So it does 366 to 732 damage per second for 2 seconds. So it can add up to doing a whole bunch of damage and basically just finishing off targets. But even if he doesn't finish the target, it'll lead them to rout, it'll lead them to crumbling, disintegrating if they're demons, and it's really nice. I can't tell you how many games I've lost with things just getting away from me at low health, and man, this guy gets the job done. So he has some mixed lore magic. I have Jade Shield to support my units, and then also the Net of Amnitok to let me execute my targets and catch them. On top of that, he's got a couple other abilities. He's got Armor of the Dragon's Gaze. This gives himself ward save and nearby units, ITP, and leadership. So yeah, very, very strong kind of synergy with that ground style of play here, and he's an armor-piercing anti-infantry duelist himself. Now, the other forbidden tech here is going to be Sky Lanterns. So Sky Lanterns on this map are pretty sweet because you can float them up on top of this pillar here. That doesn't mean ogres can't use lead belchers, but it really sends a message and establishes dominance on the battlefield. And, you know, I usually find that Sky Lanterns in really grindy games can get their value back and do well for you, so we'll see how it goes. Celestial Dragon Guard going to be jumping on this other point. Professor Pone going to be coming in with a very strong build. Ogre Bulls backed up by Noblar Trappers and basic Noblar Slaughtermaster of the Great Maw. Other side, more Noblars, no surprises there. And there will be some Lead Belchers, and the Powder Guts are a nice inclusion from Pone as well. These guys have really good armor-piercing attacks and can put some hurt up on my Lanterns, can snipe, big targets, just shoot my infantry, dragons, whatever. Powder Guts are a great unit for sure. So first call-in for the Professor is going to be the Lead Belchers. So Lead Belchers, of course, a nice answer against a lot of my elite units if they can get in range, but we do call in a cannon of our own. So Cathay Great Cannon certainly pack a punch, looking to shoot down the Ogre Bulls and some of the Iron Guts, which we did hit. Now Yuan is going to be getting into combat looking pretty cool. He's got some sweet attack animations, and you can see he gets in there, does a little bit of a Jade Surfboard, and goes after the Noblar Trappers, which you'll notice are missing their bonus versus infantry. So certainly a very good reversion. So Celestial Dragon Guard are bracing. The drums of the war are being sounded in Grand Cathay as the cannons tear into the Ogre Bulls. Now you might be wondering to yourself, where are the Crowmen? Crowmen are basically, they're kind of like a mixture of Harpies and Furies, and I find them to be very good. So Bastion of the Great Gate is down, and you can see these guys are now up to almost 120 armor, which is pretty rad. So the War Drum going to be keeping the boys nice and tanky. As our Lanterns, look at the Forbidden Lantern tech, sitting up here dropping some serious thunder. And of course, we're going to be using every new unit. This is one of the new ones. It's the Jet Lion. And what's cool about him is he has a Bound Missile Mirror ability. So you can just cast that on a nearby Lead Belcher, a nearby Powder Gut, whatever, any of those type of units. And honestly, it's a pretty good little armor-piercing fighter. I do wish they caused terror, but I don't know if maybe it was too much. But they do cost 1,100, 1,200, something like that. So I could see them justifying terror since Doom Scorpions did. So cannon shots going down, trying to shoot at those Lead Belchers, but Pone is a cunning foe, and he takes a nice angle behind the trees, so my cannons aren't able to reach the Lead Belchers, and the fighting does rage on here as the War Drums, the ZHANGU War Drums, keep the boys motivated to fight, and the Celestial Dragon Guard are so far doing pretty well against the Ogre Bull models. Over here we do see the Celestial Dragon Guard fighting with Yuan, who's going to be going into dragon form right now, so it's time, it's Gotham's Reckoning. He's going to be switching into dragon form very soon if I'm not mistaken, because if memory serves, we're going to be hunting down that Slaughtermaster and trying to get that sweet execute for you guys. So up in the sky, Sky Lantern's just sitting and shooting. Very tough for the ogres to kind of take those bad boys down. The War Drum really buffing up my troopers. and the jet line providing a little bit of punch to help get through these units. And Cathay did kind of lack that stopping power before, but the Crowmen give you a lot of agency on the battlefield, not necessarily aggressive capture weight, but they can definitely push. And having the jet lines, I don't know how they're going to be like at a super hyper competitive level, but something certainly to keep an eye on. You know, Cathay, when I first looked at the DLC, I was kind of like not as excited as the other factions, but the more I've been playing them, I'm like, okay, these Crowmen and these other tools are really nice. Like the Onyx Crowmen, they tear apart Furies, like absolute karate shot Furies. They can deal with Warhounds, they can deal with Screamers of Tzeentch. They really are good at defending your backfield and or diving things like Lead Belchers, which Grand Cathay normally would have to use cavalry for. Now you can just fly right over. It's a huge boon. Yonbo going for the kill, hunting down the Slaughtermaster, but the Slaughtermaster is slippery and able to get away. Here in the trees, you can see the Powder Guts are causing some havoc, shooting at Yonbo. So check this out. We get the Jet Lion, and I believe we cast the Spell Shield here in a second, or the Spell Reflect, or a Missile Reflect. Yeah. We can help our boy out, or it's going to be coming at some point during the game, don't you worry. And here are the Onyx Crowmen dive in. So they have good stats, 35, 32, 45 weapon strength, 60 models. They can definitely tear apart light armor pretty heavily. So they get in there and they just rip apart these Lead Belchers. And they've been one of the big MVPs on a lot of my games. Obviously, they're going to lose this fight now. They're getting ambushed by a pretty strong unit in the Saber-Tusk packs, but they'll do some damage on the way out and hopefully, do themselves proud. So Jet Lion here, getting the disdain of the Dragon Emperor, giving a little bit of punch to my front line. So suddenly, Celestial Dragon Guard rocking almost 50 melee attack and also buffing up the Jet Lion. As Yonbo comes back to the battlefield, the forces of Grand Cathay do take control over objective number 1. Granted, Ogres do have quite a bit of healing, so you have to respect that, as the Slaughtermaster has been dropping heals. On this side, you can see I am being pressed on this objective. Now, normally, I'd have to use some maybe cavalry to come in, but you can also use these. And look at that. Oh, the bombardment from the Empress's Crowmen. So cool. So they drop the hand grenades of Nangao, they blast the Noblar trappers, and then they give a little bit of back pressure here to the Noblars, freeing up that objective, and they're fast. They have a lot of speed, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of speed. So falling back to the objective, the Jet Line moving back here, Yonbo coming as well, and Ogres are very, very good at getting objectives back, so I certainly can't take my foot off the pedal as the cannons continue to tee off into the Iron Guts back here. Celestial Dragon Guard fighting slightly overextended, but the Noblar Trappers without their bonus force infantry are certainly far less devastating. It feels a lot nicer to play against them. And check that out. These are the Crowmen I was talking about earlier. These bad boys fought very well. We even moved the dreaded Sky Lantern over to try and give them some harmony, fighting here in the fourth quarter of their lives. And they actually fend off those Saber Tusks and are holding those Noblars in place, which is very, very impressive. So looking at the Jet Lion, the Disdain putting his stats up. I believe he does have some sort of a ability as well. I'm still learning all this stuff off the top of my head. But yeah, he does add miscast chance and lowers physical resist of a target. So not useless for sure if he's attacking like a character, let's say like a Kugath or a Festus or something. A little bit of miscast chance certainly isn't bad. It's free damage. So Sky Striders are summoned in, and they immediately are targeted by the Dread Cannons. Over here, we get the Crowmen hanging onto the objective. So the Empress's Crowmen and some Spears, as well as Jade Lancers coming up. So this is going to be a nice combo, because if the Ogre Bulls come in, these guys can rear charge them, and if they're not Iron Guts, not heavily armored, the 44 melee attack and 45 weapon strength is going to be able to rip them to shreds. The Sky Strider is going to be getting a big heal here, but having to move into the Fire and Brimstone of Cathay's Grand Cannons. Jet Line and Yonbo could take a little bit of a pounding here. Might need to go Dragon form, but we do drop a net of Amatox. So great utility. Having nets on Cathay is very, very good. They're a gunline faction, or have access to really powerful gunline units, whether that be crane gunners, cannons, whatever, right? So being able to net those down is a huge boon. And we move in the Celestial Dragon Guard. Yonbo going to be falling back with his pet Jet Line, looking extra cool there. And here on the side, you can see the Crowmen going to be ambushing these Ogre Bulls that are moving in to go after the objective. These are no mere Crowmen. These are the Empress's champions here as they tear apart those Bulls in tandem with the Jade Lancers. Certainly looking like the Ogres are not going to be able to get that objective back. And here, now we're going to be going in for the kill. So the Dragon's Fang is a pretty sweet ability. It gives him a ton of weapon strength. If you actually pop that in Dragon form, his weapon strength goes up over 1,000. It is nuts. But keeping him in human form isn't bad either, because it makes him a very hard target. And here he's just bullying this Slaughtermaster. I mean, that guy's getting pounded. Sky Striders on their way in. As far as my reinforcements go, we're going to be calling in Jade Lanterns. Not Jade Lancers, Jade Lancers. And now the Lanterns have moved over and are putting some okay armor-piercing DPS into whatever they can hit. And the Sky Striders really anchoring this down. Powder Guts also getting into combat. They did use all of their ammunition, having done a decent amount of value here at 1700, shooting by Jade Lancers. But now they move in with their melee prowess and do start to get some work done. The Jet Lion hopefully will be able to take down the Slaughtermaster. And ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. That Execute is going to be coming soon. We do net this bad boy down. And when you get into Execute range with Yonbo, an icon will appear above their head. So check it out. It's going down right now. So he's going to get it. The Emperor's Executioner are going to be dropping it, and boom, he's gone. So it creates like a jade kind of explosion around him. and basically takes that bad boy down. So Jade Lancer is moving up. Here, the Powder Gut's going to be bullied back most likely by the extremely durable leadership here of the Celestial Dragon Guard, and my opponent is going to tap out. GG, well played. I think that game was a really fun showcase of the different units. The War Drums, you know, giving a little bit of a harmony buff. So you don't need any range units to get harmony if you bring the War Drums. And they also give an armor buff and still have a little bit of melee prowess. So that was really cool, buffing up the Dragon Guard. On top of that, you got to see Yuan, his capabilities, the execution ability, his melee presence, dragon form a little bit, because you can net something then turn it into a dragon and attack, but unfortunately you can't cast the nets in dragon form. That'd be really good. The Lanterns I actually liked. I think they were just kind of a little poking presence that added up over the course of a long game. And the Crowmen, I think, are, of all the pieces, Yuan is very good. I think he's going to be extremely common. Like Yuan, Gotrek, and Felix is a nasty triple combo of heroes. But the Crowmen are extremely solid. It's weird, like they look super underwhelming. You're just like, our Harpy type units really going to help Grand Cathay, but like in the matchups I've been playing here in the early access, man, they have been helping me so much. And not just for aggression either, like defending your backfield. If somebody comes in with like flying pressure that your cavalry can't intercept, you get Yuan, you net those bad boys down, you send the Crowmen after them, then you use Jade Shield on them, and they'll outtrade like anything up in the sky, like Fellbats, Harpies, Furies, whatever. They take all of them down, which is really, really good. The Jet Lions and the Jade Lions, I don't really know how I feel about them yet. I don't think like the Ogres is the best matchup for them. I just kind of threw it in here because I wanted to show you guys. But even still, it's a cool unit. Yeah, more testing to be required. I haven't really drawn any conclusions about that. So GG, well played for the Ogre roster. 1900 on the bad boys, the guns there. And yeah, these guys certainly got shut down. Those Sky Striders got pounded by the firepower and all the halberds. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. We'll be back with more sweaty action soon. And that is it for tonight. Take care.